we will move on to approving the minutes of the meeting of July 20th.
Like 12.
12.
Yeah, I have a little bit of an issue.
Speak up.
John Hart stated his intentions to resign from SBC as he does not believe it serves any purpose.
Where are we?
Right down here.
Bottom. And misquoted.
This is not true.
Okay.
What is
I will
true
write,
is
I will redo it.
what is true is I believe that all of the town boards that we have in town are more than welcome to come in here, talk to us, talk to the planning board, talk to the select board. And the Stockbridge Bowl Stewardship Committee is, which also is missing an S, doesn't really need to exist, but
Well, I think
the reason for it is that we have boards in town, paid boards, unpaid boards, that already are dealing with all of the situations that have to do with the lake.
well,
That's my position.
I'm the new
So
rep.
have you resigned then?
Yes.
And you are
That's
the
what he
rep.
said. He was going to resign, and my understanding was you did not feel that it was a worthwhile board.
And I think you will find the same, but how about it?
Can we, how do you want to amend that paragraph?
We make a motion that Sally's appointed to the Stockbridge Bowl.
No,
No.
no. It's not that I don't believe it serves any purpose. I don't believe it's necessary because there are boards, paid and unpaid in town, that cover everything that they are supposed to cover.
But they don't have any power, right? They just advise what the thought process is?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what the zoning review board is costing the town of Stockbridge? This is what I don't want to see happen here. That's all.
Well, most of us are unpaid.
It's true.
Hope that it's
But anybody
gonna cost us a lot of
from
money.
SBA or anybody from the town highway department or from water and sewer is more than welcome to walk in here and talk to us or anybody else.
But
I don't see
the
this.
whole purpose of the SBC was
Lake
to,
management.
to develop a lake management plan and to incorporate the different,
Ideas?
well, not really ideas, the different,
Viewpoints.
I mean, each board has something that is relevant to the lake. Water and sewer decide if and when there should be septic systems, if there should extend the pipeline into different areas. How does that translate? Board of Health obviously is concerned with things like cyanobacteria and any kind of weird algae growth. If there is other stuff like E. coli or whatever in the lake that would make it hazardous. And to have the lake being managed by a non-governmental organization seemed like it was fraught with difficulty. So the whole idea behind it was to have the town be the arbiter of how the lake is managed. That was the purpose of doing this and having each person who's representing the various boards and organizations be able to bring to the table things that other people in different boards and organizations might not be aware of is what their concerns are. So that was the whole purpose of it.
To what end?
To create a lake management plan.
My grandchildren, great-grandchildren probably will be passed on before that happens, in my view. Knowing how
That will not be true.
knowing how these things work.
Yeah, I think we need to get it back to the
We-
minutes. And I would also say it was created by a town meeting. It was voted on
Yes.
overwhelmingly
Right.
to create the commission.
I just resigned for that reason. That's why. I didn't think I could
Why
contribute.
don't you change it to that John feels that it duplicates the work of existing town council?
Okay, well,
Right.
if you want to, I'll say it that way then.
Who in the world would do that to me this hour?
Okay. Minutes.
I apologize.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from July 12th with the amendment to the last paragraph.
I second that motion. See, I don't have any objection this week.
Any objections?
No, any other corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
I have one question before we
Yeah.
move on. I know Wolf is here for Pinewood. Don't see it on the agenda. I just want to make sure.
She's informal here, she's here informally, so she
just
is
wanna make sure.
welcome to.
She didn't skip over.
We will let you participate.
They've got their driveway issues again.
Well, since you're right here, talk to us.
Sure. Do you want to?
I need to abstain.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm June Wolf, I'm the housing director for Construct, and Construct owns Pinewoods. And we would like to repave the driveway there. It's in bad shape. We don't intend to change anything about the work. We're gonna grind it. And while we have it pavement removed, the water company asked us to check the valve boxes. There are a few that are under the driveway. And if necessary, repair them, but that would be in the same scope.
Is the town gonna do that? Is the town gonna do the digging excavation?
No.
No, you have to.
Yes.
All right.
And we met with our crew on the night of your last meeting, and they wanted to see if the Concom wanted to weigh in before they proceed. So I sent emails, but I didn't realize you were on vacation and Sally was busy, so I didn't hear back, so
Okay.
I thought I'd come and ask.
They're gonna grind the surface, remove it. Is it going back down?
Yes.
So it's just a removal, just a
Repaving.
repaving.
Yeah.
It'll be rolled back in, flattened out, and then another layer will be put on top of it.
So not the parking lot and not the garages. It will only go just the actual driveway.
The access roads and
The access road coming in and the circle road going out.
surrounding.
Any,
I have a picture,
any changes in drainage or anything?
no,
All drainage stays the same.
yes.
And for my information, what's the resource area? Why is it coming to the Concom? Because I don't know.
It's in the floodplain.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Do we
Any
need,
comments?
I think it would be good for us, I mean, it could come under the heading of maintenance for sure. And I think it would be good for us to have a statement from the contractor stating that they are going to put up silt fence or bottles or whatever they're going to do to,
So do you need me to file an RDA?
I don't know, I'm just saying that I think that we do need some sort of documentation of how they're going to protect the resource area. And that it's not going to increase the,
Statement from your contractor.
yeah,
What he's gonna do, probably when he's gonna do it, but that's a little iffy. Yeah, I know. Is he gonna store materials on the property anywhere, that type of thing? If there's curbings or anything removed, then he will need, straw wattles or erosion control or anything like that.
So we were planning to do it in sections. And yeah, I think, do you mind if I bring you the,
Sure, come.
This is from 2006. This is the work as it was actually done. So the river itself is 290 feet away. So I'm not sure where you want silt fence and or bales.
Well, if it's all level, that's one thing, but I'm sure someplace or other, the water runs.
Right,
And did they do an RDA last time?
yeah.
was a notice of
I mean,
intent
they did-
last time. That
They did one for the
Big deal.
property
I know.
last time, right?
As I remember though, that's pretty much dead flat there, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Almost completely. There's a little bit of grade on this side from building 3 down to the drain. But then the drain feeds underneath here to a culvert, a swale that goes to a retention basin that's out here.
There's one storm drain for the whole property.
No, actually, there's another one over here. And yeah, and then some of it just naturally feeds into the swale without going through the drain first. So the reason I'm asking about where you'd like the blockage is because the driveway is actually open right onto the driveway. And the parking is all around. So.
He'll know. If,
Well, no, he sent me to ask.
oh, okay, all right.
That's why we didn't.
If basically it's if you think that there's anything that they do and during the course of this project that might impact either the floodplain or the wetlands, then it should be protected by using some sort of straw wattle.
Because we haven't been getting the most gentle storms in the world lately. And it wouldn't take very much of anything to blow it all into wherever it wants to go.
Blow.
Meaning wash it into wherever it can go, whether it goes down the storm drain or whether it goes over the edge and goes wherever it feels like going.
You have a little retention pond, is that had upkeep to it? It's not filled in or it's still?
Maintained.
That's a no.
Does it still function?
It still functions, but it hasn't been maintained. I mean, there didn't seem to be to do
Do
anything.
you think it's going to blow over if you have a really big, like if you have a 2-inch storm, for example, will it overbank or does it hold?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
It drains well.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
I guess, right, so I'm wondering what material are we concerned about? Because obviously the
Once
macadam is not going to go in.
no, once he takes the surface
Gravel
off,
is not going to go anywhere.
that's when there's a chance of erosion, okay? And
Right.
if he does it like grinds it down, rolls it down and puts another layer on top, that's good, fine, but you know,
Okay.
that's not gonna happen. So it might take a day or so, but that, you know, that's when you could have one big section of straw wattle, which is this straw in a tube type thing.
Sure, yeah.
And move it around as he does sections.
Okay. That's
That works.
clearer for me. Thank you. All right. So that's what I'm going to ask him to write, that he's going to have one section of straw wattle and move it as needed.
It's needed.
Excellent. Okay. So then,
Keep it,
You can just have that emailed to us and we just keep it on file.
and it needs to come from the contractor, or can it come from me with a copy to the
You
contractor?
should sign it.
You should sign it.
Just so we know that
See you
he's
next
aware.
Well, you can write it for him, right, and have him sign it?
Yeah, I'll try. Okay. All right. And that's
Okay.
everything? All right.
that's it.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Do we know when this is gonna happen?
How soon are you going to start, June?
I mean, it's been
You
a couple
know?
years since the town approved.
We've been working with them for years now. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I put it out to bid. I got, 2 of the people I put it out to bid for teamed up and they held us up this long, so I don't know.
Okay, can you let us know when you have a date? That'd be great.
Sure, you'll see me. I'll be holding a parade down. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, David McCarthy. Anybody Zoom work?
Was going to be on, I thought.
Who is on Zoom?
No? Continued in,
Yeah, he might come on later, I'm not sure.
all right. We have a couple certificates of compliance. Have been on the agenda for a while. We're gonna be in the process of doing something with those, really short.
So you're actually going to address those?
Have them addressed, as it were.
We have a consulting firm hired by the town, Fleetwood Environmental Solutions. And we're gonna ask them to give us an opinion on what we should do to get these off our agenda.
Good.
It's good.
That's a good idea.
Yay.
So that's going to be the
Highly
I was gonna look at you when I said that, but
early to be pressuring stuff.
Yeah.
And I emailed Foresight about that, and I haven't heard back about whether she wants to pursue the certificate of compliance or whether they want to withdraw it for now.
I think
all right, we're gonna look at those after. You can look at them now if you want.
All right. But not for a certificate of compliance. Yeah, so I don't know whether she wants to pursue that or not. We'll find out.
We don't know if she's coming back with a new plan or anything.
I don't. I
Continue.
haven't heard anything, yeah.
Okay. Request for determination of applicability. Sarah Manukin?
Yes. That was a correct pronunciation. Thank you.
I'm trying.
You're doing a good job.
Mark Reynolds. I'm here from Kelly Granger and Parsons. We're representing Sarah for owns property on One Dugway Road. If you guys all know the old Bradkey property, that's the property we're talking about. Now, there's quite a bit of stuff planning to be going on in this property, but the focus of this RDA right now is strictly for replacing a failed septic system. And there's an old in-ground pool that had gone into disrepair over the years that they want to basically fill in and, clean that whole area up. Now, there's an intermittent stream that runs out of a spring on the north side of the property, just north of the driveway. And across the road on Dugway Road is Mohawk Brook. And the new septic field is going to be sitting in approximately the same area where the existing one is. I think it's somewhere around in here, I'm not sure, but it's failed. But basically, it's an open field area, and I don't know how many of you guys were at the site visit with it. You can see it's overgrown with grass right now, but it's a cleared area. There's an existing tank by the house that's going to be replaced. And the septic field itself is going to be 3 trenches with Elgin chambers. And the good thing about this is there's been no groundwater found here. So these trenches will be set right in the ground. There's going to be no extra fill coming in. You won't be seeing the mounds that you see popping up all over the place. So, when all said is done, drainage is going to remain the same as it is. And, once the grass grows in, you'll never even know that it was put in there. Now,
How far is it from the intermittent?
okay. Here's a 50-foot setback line. So it's about 60 feet south of the stream where the top of the chambers are going to be. And you're about 100 feet across from Mohawk Brook. And those of you that were there, you can see there's already been some silt fence on the property installed. And I don't believe last time I was there, the stuff along the road has been installed yet, but we also have a silt fence proposed there between the road and the work going on. So that's primarily what we're dealing with, the septic. The in-ground pool that needs to be filled in is right up here behind the existing barn. And that's about 200 feet away from the intermittent stream, as well as just a little shy of 200 feet from Mohawk Brook. So that's quite a ways from anything else going on. And
Bring and fill in from that.
yeah.
No material on site.
Yeah, no, there's nothing on site being done to be filled in. And obviously the pool would be ruptured in areas so that the water would flow through it and then, filled with.
Paved in and then.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The old septic tanks,
Yeah,
that'll
have to be removed from the site. The tank has to be replaced. We need to put in order to comply with Title V, we have to put a new tank in. So, yeah, it would have to be removed because the new tank is going to be going right in the same exact location as the old tank. It hooks right up to the line out of the house where it is.
How do you remove it? How big a tank is it?
Probably 10 by 5, maybe roughly.
Metal or
What's that?
is it a metal?
No, that's a concrete tank, the one that's used right now. It's a pretty common thing. I honestly don't know where the contractors, what they do with them or get rid of them, but it's a pretty common thing.
How far is the new field from the old field?
I don't know exactly. I never saw a Title V of the thing, but I'm guessing the new field probably sits just down below it in this flat area. The existing tank is here and, drops down. There's no pump chamber, so it's got to be heading down the hill. So my best guess.
That's how Mike described it to us at the site visit.
Yeah. I think it's closer to the road.
And is that stream categorized as an intermittent stream? Because I have never seen that stream not running.
The one to the north, you're saying?
Yeah, not the river.
Yeah. I didn't see any categorization of it. It's definitely not shown as a perennial stream on the GIS maps and stuff like
I
that.
think because it goes underground.
Yeah, it pops right out of the ground right here.
No, I'm very familiar
So
with
it
that.
doesn't
I'm
have.
familiar with where it goes in.
Yeah.
Into the ground.
It doesn't have the area to be categorized as a
Oh.
perennial.
Erosion controls, when the work is going on.
Yeah, they've already put some up, I believe, along the side of the driveway. Like I said, when I was there the other day, I don't believe it was done along the road yet. But that will be done actually prior to the construction for the second feet. What's that?
Do you know what they will be?
They've been putting, stake silt fence up already for it, so I'm assuming that we'll stick with the same stuff that's already up there.
We have some straw wattle down too.
Thank you.
The pool's gonna be filled and then seeded,
Yes.
so it'll end up be lawn or whatever.
I think I've Breja just sent through a planting plan today. And I didn't look at that specific spot where the pool is to see what's growing there, but I'm not sure if I can share my screen, but I sent the planting plan to Sally and to the commission at around maybe 4 or 5 today.
A lot of invasives.
Yeah, we had
Imagine now.
it was a very pretty planting
I
plan.
mean, whatever they do is going to be an improvement.
Absolutely.
My only concern is because of the stream going into the ground, disappearing and coming back up.
Like what is in behind
Where they
HH's house,
effluent.
it comes out. It goes underneath that development from whatever his name is.
They changed the name of that too.
Stone Ridge.
Storage.
There are 2 seed mixes on my plan joining from Zoom. The upland seed mix for the native pollinator mix would be what would go over the pool space and then over the leach field. And then the wet meadow mix would go in any of the wetter soils down by the roadway, or if there's any invasive removal or bare soil that's on the other side of the straw wattle.
This plan for this season?
Not quite sure when
This fall, springs or just summer or fall? When are you gonna start this?
The construction, we're hoping to start as soon as we get approval here and pull permits. So we're hoping to do some of the work this construction season and get as much done as we can and hopefully close up the middle section of the house. Breja and I discussed doing some initial planting, especially for the things that we are replacing. I think anything that wouldn't be in the way of a silt fence or, right in the line of where things will be moving around for the septic. We'll try to put things in the ground as we have space that's ready for it.
You're talking specifically.
Yeah, my concern
in the
is
pool right now.
this gets
The pool.
everything there. Everything that's gonna get disturbed.
I already have several of the seed mix bags for the meadow mix from Breja. So I have those ready to put down wherever the commission would like them to go.
I just
Timing.
would like to, timing so this stuff gets growing, so it doesn't sit
Right, right.
For the
Yeah,
winter and then have spring runoff and that type of thing.
nothing is going where the pool is right now. We are just going to fill that in. So that seed that I have already can go into the ground immediately.
Even if it's just a rye or a quick,
Okay,
something to hold it in place.
okay.
All these areas that are disturbed. Any other comments? I did not make the site visit.
I was just going to ask you, so have you already gotten approval from Tri-Town for the septic system?
It has been applied for. I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Mike said it had been approved
He
by.
said, Mike said he had it. He hasn't sent me a copy yet, but he said he had
I
it.
think at the site visit, we talked about doing this last, after the work. Is that correct? So it wouldn't be disturbed while they were working on the middle section of the house?
Yes, and I put that, I sent to the commission and to Sally, a sort of estimate of the phasing of the work, and I put the septic and the well at the very end.
Great, thank you.
There's a couple. Forgot now why he was on. But you might ask him what he would like to talk about.
Is he this? No, okay. All right.
We
Comments?
have the two separate filings on this project. One is for the septic system and one is for the renovation and repair to the house and grounds.
Correct.
And we have assurances that Tri-Town's okay with the septic.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mike said they have it.
And
Just need to get it.
just so you're aware, because you weren't at the site visit, there are two elderly sections of the house that they're going to preserve. The center section of the house, which once upon a time was some sort of barn or don't know really what it was, is going to be replaced. So you can have this,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the house.
Knock the middle out and tie it back together.
Right, but they're doing a very conscientious job of working on the antiquities that they have there.
Should we vote on this first, though?
Yeah, all that will be addressed for the NOI.
Yes.
Speaking of the NOI, has an application, has the, what is it, Form 3, has that been submitted yet? Because I didn't get it in,
And advertised.
okay, because I didn't, and I got a bunch of submissions, rejected plans and this and that, but I didn't get anything of that.
We did.
It went up, because I went through all my mail with a fine tooth comb. I don't have any left. I didn't get that.
Hang on a minute.
Came in sort of section.
I gave him a copy here.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Fourth. Before I even jumped.
This was an applicant submission rather than a, Tom, this was an applicant submission rather than an engineering firm.
I'm sorry, what?
It was an applicant submission rather than an engineering firm, so it was,
Right. I did read there was like a 10-page description of the project. I did read that, but I didn't know if that was sent in lieu of this.
as part of.
Yeah, but two separate
It
files.
was several different pieces of the.
I'm very thorough.
It was.
Yes, you are.
Is there anyone else like to comment on this project? Anybody in Zoom? No? Okay.
Sir, do you like Norman Rockwell?
It's a loaded question.
I love Norman Rockwell.
Good.
Approved.
That's all it takes. I wish I'd known that.
Yeah. All you had to do.
We'll make a motion here.
The RDA or
RDA.
I make a motion that we accept the RDA for Sarah Manukin's property.
So there's two things, failed septic.
That's for the RDA is for the septic.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next.
Thank you for your time.
The NOI.
We need to do that one right now too?
Probably.
I may have some notes on it.
All right, make a motion for the NOI.
I'll make a motion that we accept the NOI for Sarah Manukin on 1 Dugway Road.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good to go, Sarah.
Have a good evening.
So much. You as well.
Is at the request of the applicant, the 38 Lake Drive has been continued again.
Okay. Do we know if they went to the planning board?
They are going this week, I think he said.
Okay.
That one we're gonna send off to,
Yeah, I think that should go to,
okay. And we'll talk about this whole
Are we at
thing in a
37
minute.
now?
Yes.
Did the 1 Dugway Road, we did 38.
37 Mackinac.
37 Mackinac Road. Lisa Messinger,
okay, Rob is on.
Lisa?
There he is.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
How you been?
all right, talk to us.
This is a continuation from an RDA that you guys had at your last meeting. We did a site visit on Thursday of last week. We took a walk around. Lisa has permission from the Mackinac Terrace Association, which owns that sliver of land between Lisa's property and the causeway. There's approximately 10 to 12 trees that are dead and that some of them pose a safety hazard. During the site walk, we agreed, I think most of them, with the exception of 2, could be removed. And the 2 that were in question were beneficial to habitat. And so we agreed that we would take the tops out of those dead trees to eliminate the safety hazard, but leave the bottom 10 to 12 feet for habitat. In addition, we discussed replanting, and it was determined that we have plenty of trees already going into the property to be replanted. And in lieu of that, we would remove a bunch of the non-native invasives. We identified most of that as mostly buckthorn, some bittersweet. I think that's all I recall from our site visit. So my sense is that we would respectfully request a negative determination on the project.
Good summary.
Very
Good.
good.
How was that?
Yeah, that's good.
Really good.
Excellent.
Nice job. I make a motion to approve the request for, and I don't know if there's comments, other comments.
I'll second it.
Did we have discussion on how these trees were gonna be removed?
We did on the,
They're in a wooded area.
Are they just gonna be dropped and left?
No, they're gonna be dropped and removed, Ron, because they're right on the edge of Lisa's property.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be dropped and removed.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
And we've contracted with John Field, who's done all the other work. He's meticulous, lays down pads, cleans up after himself. He knows what's expected from him, from not only the Stockbridge Concom, but from most other conservation commissions as well.
And stumps will stay in place?
They will, yes, they will. Stumps will be cut, they'll be cut flush. They will not be ground. They'll just be cut flush.
Yeah, that's fine.
no.
This is just-
no,
this is
to
the-
the right of the whole property. Remember Alice?
The wooded
McCarthy?
area.
Ron, I don't know if you remember.
Picture.
Yeah, Ron, you walked it with us last year. We talked about it. I'm sorry to interrupt. We walked it last year. We talked about it and I said I'd be filing this separately, and it's that area.
We went down around the front of the house and up around
Yeah.
the north side and
Yeah.
You got it. That's the one.
It's in here. Right, here's her property.
yeah.
And here's the causeway.
Yeah.
I think Alice, the people across the street own something here. But this is the property and the trees are there and they are an obvious threat to the house, so.
And they're gonna remove the buckthorn and the invasives as well in there?
Yeah,
Is that
and we discussed that removal process as well. Those will be cut.
Yeah, they
They're
would be.
gonna leave a big open area?
No,
Oh, God, no.
Probably go right back.
it's so thick
Yeah.
that any removal will allow the ones you want to keep to grow.
All right, but
Exactly. It's not my place and it's not our property, but quite frankly, that particular parcel would benefit well from a little bit of arboricultural
It'll be an improvement.
thinning.
there's no intent to park it out or anything like that, just you're taking the removal of the invasives and the dead trees and getting out of there, right?
That is correct. And we've got permission from the MTA, the Mackinac Terrace Association, to do just that.
All right.
So I make a motion to approve the RDA for Lisa Messinger on 38 Mackinac Road, 37 Mackinac Road, sorry.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? What was that?
I'm just waving goodbye to Rod.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much, everybody. If I don't see you, I'll enjoy the balance of the summer, but I hope to see you all soon.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
And so folks, there are Stockbridge. Might find out why they're,
Peter, someone named Faktor,
Faktorovich. It's-
I'm gonna
yeah.
really mess that one up.
That's okay. It's a little tricky. Good evening, everybody. My name's Olga. This is my husband, Steve. Nice to meet you all.
Hello, I spoke with Charlotte about an hour and a half ago, and she had suggested that we try to connect tonight on Zoom. Is Charlotte there? Hello, Charlotte. Hi.
usually known as Sally, but that's okay, because it's confusing.
Noted.
Thanks,
What
my
would you like
parents.
to discuss with us, or us discuss with you?
All right.
Okay. So
Questions? Ask.
Yeah, so we currently have an accepted offer at 17 Beechwood Drive in Stockbridge. The property has a failed Title V, and the seller has been there a very long time, and they essentially washed their hands off of addressing that. And so for the past almost 6 weeks now, we've been engaging with engineers and contractors, getting quotes and trying to get to the bottom of kind of everything on the ground there. From our understanding, it failed because of the high water table. So we are looking to tie into the town sewer. There is a connection at the end of the driveway at the street. It's about 330 feet from the manhole to the house. And again, from what we've been told, this is basically the last house, the only house in that neighborhood that's not connected to the town sewer. So we are excited to rectify that situation if possible. So we have spoken with Tony Campanelli several times. He's been extremely helpful. He's even gone out to the property on multiple occasions, and he did kind of strongly suggest that we go forward with a hookup to the town sewer instead of trying to rehab any of the old system. Last time we met him there, we actually met Joe Wilkerson there as well. Maybe some of you know him. I guess he has, decades of experience in this and has done like hundreds of septic and sewer projects in the town. And so between Tony and Joe and a number of other engineers we've engaged, we actually decided that it makes most sense to drill instead of excavate. To be honest, we didn't even know that technology existed at this point, but it sounds pretty amazing. And as far as I understand, it actually creates very little disturbance, significantly less than excavating. So, it does cost more, but my husband and I are very conscientious about mitigating any potential environmental impact. He has worked for the Mass Audubon Society in land management. I work in climate change mitigation, so we're very passionate about this. Having said that, we don't make a lot of money. And so if, we can save the added expense of hiring an engineering firm and doing kind of the permitting process with you all ourselves, we'd love to do that. And, we would find that extremely helpful. So with that, we welcome your guidance.
So when I spoke to Steve this afternoon, I said that because of the high water and because of where it is in Beechwood, it would probably require at least a filing of an RDA. If they use the directional bore, it should be reasonably non-impactful for the wetlands. And it's going to be in the driveway, so they weren't going to cut any trees.
Yep.
How far from the lake?
Yeah, well, how far from the lake are you?
Let's see. So I am happy to actually share my screen if okay with you.
Yep.
We have, yeah, we have an image from the assessor's map. I don't know if that's helpful, but hopefully.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Can you see my screen? by any
Yes.
chance?
Yep.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
look, it's twirling.
Oh, I guess it doesn't show the water. So
So, yeah, it's.
The water's up here.
100% sure, but
I
yeah.
guess I can Google map it for you all. But this is Beechwood right here, and this is the long driveway. So it's on this side, and the water is way up there.
4 or 5 houses away.
But how many feet? That doesn't, any idea how many feet?
I could guesstimate, I'd say maybe, I don't know, 1,200 feet, but I could be totally off, I'm not sure.
So you're
I mean,
fine.
if our driveway is 330 feet, I'd say it's probably about at least 3 times that distance.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, the issue is that Beechwood is all wet.
Yeah.
So,
Probably the best way to do that is by boring.
exactly.
Otherwise, you're just gonna have a stream.
Right, yeah, exactly, that's what we've been told, that, that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, fine.
So you're gonna have to excavate a little bit around the house to make the connection.
Oh, I see.
Is the house gonna stay? I only ask this because it's been our experience that when a house changes hands down in that area, it gets knocked down and rebuilt.
No, actually, at this time, we have no plans to do anything to the house. We're just gonna keep it as is, as a 3-season,
Okay,
really 2-season home, so.
Yeah.
all right,
I recommended an RDA just so that we would have some formal
request and paper.
request in paper and you would be permitted. And then when we get phone calls from people saying they're doing blah, 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 then we can say,
So-
yes, they've been before us and we okayed it. You can fill it out yourself.
Okay,
You'll find it on the DEP website under wetlands and waterways
Okay.
forms. It's called the request for determination of applicability. And it's a really easy form to fill out. You don't need an engineer.
Technical service
Yeah.
area.
Okay.
A picture of, that you just showed us of where your house sits on your property, the direction you're gonna go, dotted line, magic marker, whatever, attached to the RDA would be good.
Okay.
okay.
That sounds great.
Okay, so we'll wait for your paperwork
All right.
and then if you can get a contractor in there quick, let us know and we'll.
Well, we spoke, so Joe said he could do it in the fall. We don't actually, if this goes through, we don't close till September 9th, so it wouldn't be till the fall that we'd be doing it, which I guess is advantageous because obviously a lot of people won't be around after.
Yeah, they don't like to make a noise down around there during a couple months of the year.
So if you would like to have this formally heard at our next meeting, which is August 9th, I will need to have the RDA by Thursday at noon.
This Thursday, okay.
Yep. And if you don't care, you can just send it in whenever.
All right, no.
So, sorry, this Thursday, the 28th, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And you can send me a digital copy initially so that I can get it advertised. That's the reason why we have the deadline. And then the formal copies with the $100 fee, and it also has to go to DEP. You'll see the directions when you find the form.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
All right, good
sounds
luck.
great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great
Have a
night.
good night.
All right,
It was around 700 feet on Google.
yeah, okay, good, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, performance standards are, everybody get a copy? And the other-
Yeah, I'll go get them.
We'll send a set of those off too.
Fleetwood?
Yep,
That's great.
we'll talk about that.
That's the new consultant.
Yeah, Fleetwood Environmental Solutions.
I would like to know why
I don't think it's a musical concert.
deleted my sequence of work.
You have it?
You know, I've got something here. Is that by Scott, what's his name?
I have no idea why.
Yeah. I've got one by Scott Jackson.
I'm in business and
Delineating,
or something since the 9-1 Scott Road.
maybe.
Anybody didn't get one, these are the ones that I retyped and edited, or not, didn't retype the whole thing, but I edited. Thank you. So if there are things that I missed that we talked about, you let me know.
You got one?
Okay, you ready to go to 9:30?
Tom, if
We're
you
not.
can send me your table of contents, whichever one you
15
think is better, and I will add it to it
Madam Choose.
when I send it to Fleetwood.
You've got to look at it.
Okay, the LPOD transfer
Wait, can I
that,
just, there was one thing in here that I wanted to point out.
yep.
4.2.
You want one of these?
I get one.
You got one.
Might be too fast.
4.22,
Yeah, you're almost there.
Okay.
judgment of the commission, any new structure or activity other than by travel by foot or non-motorized vehicles or removal of invasive vegetation using BMP.
I put that in because the language, I did make a couple of changes. I put that in because it's best management practices. And I thought that not only is that a term that's understood by most people, but the way it was written before, I didn't think was very clear.
Okay, no, it's written better, but maybe under the definitions, just put BMP for people that don't know it.
Okay,
That was my only comment.
definitions, add BMP. And as I said earlier, my computer flat out refused to double parentheses around As and Bs. So they are at least consistent throughout. No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah, there's places where it is.
All right, I will go back and work on the consistency. I had Dexter helping me today, so that was not entirely productive.
Is that your grandson?
My 3-year-old, yeah.
It wasn't the dog.
I thought it might be the dog too.
Yeah, the dog wasn't helping either because she was sick, so, it
I'm
was,
not with food poisoning, we don't.
yeah, no, I don't know what's going on, but it was bad.
So where does this go from here?
I thought Ron mentioned that he thought maybe it would be good to have Fleetwood review it.
Yeah,
Sure.
and we're gonna talk about who Fleetwood is.
Okay.
LPOD transfer, let's do the rest of these and we'll get right to it. That's gotta go down, I believe, eventually.
So just before we get away from this, so if anybody wants to take a quick review of this when you can, and just say if there's anything that jumps out at you and says, oops, we forgot to do that, or if I forgot colons or semicolons or whatever somewhere along the way, let me know.
I did look through it. That was the only thing I found.
Okay.
The LPOD transfer, I think Kate had sent an email just asking, I think, if everyone on the commission agreed that that was a good idea. I think she wanted to vote or just to make sure everybody was in agreement that they wanted to do that.
Any opposition to it?
Well, I have some questions. For one thing, if we take that, if we take that law over, we'll have to become a special permit issuing board, which I don't know if under the state law we're, authorized to do that. There's certain establishing acts in Mass General Law that sets up conservation commissions, and I went through them again. I didn't see anything that said that we could, pass on zoning issues and also issue special permits. I know the select board can appoint, a special permit authority, but I don't know if the state under, our our laws would allow us to do it. And also too, I went through the law and I did find some conflict between what we do and what they say you can do. For instance, they say you can do 15% when you rebuild on a lot, under the lot usages, whereas, the town says 10% for non-conforming. It's kind of a conflict. And there's a bunch of conflicts through there, like they say that you can cut down dead or dying trees, in the LPOD, no problem. Whereas we say they have to ask us, and there's stuff like that throughout it. And also too, there are some things that I think are purely planning board things that are kind of outside the Conservation Commission's range. So I think it needs some kind of discussion and maybe, a little revision of it. I can see a lot of things that fall under what we do, but there's a lot of things that aren't really part of conservation, and I don't know. And also too, then you have the floodplain overlay district. Well, that's certainly part of what we do. Are we going to take that over? And then there's the surface water supply protection overlay district. Well, that's certainly public and private, water supply. Are we going to take that over? So, where do you draw the line? And,
Part of the reasoning was the conflicts. And because we ran across a couple of projects where people wanted to remove invasives down on the shoreline of the lake or the river. And it wasn't permitted. No removal of vegetation was permitted under the LPOD, whereas we are encouraging people to do that as long as they do it correctly to get rid of the invasive species. So I think part of the thinking was to try and align the two. It doesn't have to necessarily fall under us in order to do that, but to try and make sure that we aren't in conflict with that part of the town regulations.
The poster, I can see why people would say, but going through it, it just seemed that it's, not necessarily the good fit you would think it is when you read the whole thing.
And did the town?
Town council has not definitively ruled on it, but her first impression was, I don't see why not. But it does, I believe it has to go to the Attorney General in order for this to happen.
Well, you have contacts with the DEP. I would call and ask them if we have the power to basically take on zoning tasks,
Well, maybe that's something we can ask our.
Crossing line and become a special permit issuing authority. Right now, there's three, really mainly two. There's select board and there's the planning board. And then the zoning board of appeals, they have one that they issue. That's for municipal buildings. They never do it.
Well, I think planning board was, if Marie, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think planning board has found it to be sort of an inch on the end of their noses, as my mother always used to say, because it is a duplication of jurisdiction to a great degree, not entirely, but a lot of it is a duplication of jurisdiction.
Is he sorting that out, or else either doing that or having some kind of combined board or something, but I don't know how that wouldn't work, huh? Yeah, I thought about it.
Complicated.
Yeah, it'd be very complicated.
So it's not a done deal. It's just in, do we think that we'd like to do that?
Exploring the possibilities, let's put it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if that's, that's something you want to do.
And we can ask some questions.
I think an advantage too, it's less cumbersome on the applicant to have both of them in one place.
It certainly would be quicker.
It would be quicker and less confusing, I think, to have people just go to one place for some of these answers rather than.
I just felt that we should discuss it in the details at some point. But I think the first thing to resolve is to get a definitive thing from Donna, under our kind of the enabling legislation for conservation commissions, can we even do this? Can we basically make zoning decisions?
I think, Maria, you guys checked with Donna, right?
Apparently Kate said she checked with Donna and and I believe Bill, before Kate, did as well. Donna, just when Bill asked for the first time, she said she'd look into it, it seemed okay. And then I believe Kate, as Kate told us, she had asked Donna, we were waiting for your vote of your board, and then it goes to town meeting for sure, but also, I guess, the Attorney General maybe. But it seemed as though Donna thought it was okay. Now, if you specifically say, gee, what about permitting? And she goes back and looks at it, I'm not sure. I mean, that may be something, but she at first blush seemed to say, yes, it's okay. You know, because we gave you the stormwater thing too. And she said that was okay. So I don't know.
But I don't think we issue a permit on that, do we? Do we issue a special permit?
Yes, we do.
We issue a special permit through
We issue a
zoning.
permit, yep.
Zoning permit. Well, then maybe we can.
And that went to the Attorney General also.
I don't know if that had to. I think we just had a town meeting and they said it was okay. You guys voted for it, we voted for it, and
Tom,
it'd be okay.
jot down 4 or 5 of these questions, give them to us.
Oh, sure, okay.
We'll,
And another thing too is like pretty much, most of what we do, we enforce state law. We enforce the State Wetland Protection Act. The state has a Scenic Mountain Act, a Riverfront Protection Act,
Scenic
right?
Mountain is in state. Some towns have it and some don't.
Right, well, you can adopt it, but I did find something in the Mass General laws. It's a Scenic Mountain Act. And you choose whether you're going to adopt it or not, but it is a state law. And the only thing, we do have a local Wetlands Protection Act, but that's a stricter act than the state. You can always have a local ordinance that is stricter than the state act. But other than that, until you adopted the stormwater law, you were basically, and we report to the state oversees our work, et cetera. So we're not really like a lot of town boards, like the planning board is a purely municipal board, but, we're kind of a branch of the state in a lot of ways. Wouldn't you agree, Lisa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I just thought there could be conflicts there,
It's a good question.
crossing the line. I can jot them down, and seriously, I'm not against it because I can see that there's a lot of stuff that gets duplicated.
Just send us an
Duplication of
email or
effort,
something. Give a chance.
Send me an email, I'll forward it on to Donna and say, these are some concerns that were raised in our meeting and would you comment?
Yeah, and don't you have some contacts with DEP you could talk to too?
We have some
We can
contacts
talk
with
to our
ex-DEP
people.
people.
Oh, I know that.
Our peeps.
Yeah,
All right.
be interested to know what they said, But anyway, so it just seemed to me, I wouldn't want to be hasty about it and then have to undo everything and stuff like that.
Have we gotten anything on 21 Interlaken Road sewer connection?
Those will be heard at the next meeting.
Do we have a copy of the NOI?
Yes.
Take one.
I'd like to ask a question on that. Have we received plans on how they are going to do that? Are they going to run it down Mackinac Road or? Are they
We have their NOI.
Because the shortest distance between 2 points is a board under the swamp in the backyard.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't
I don't
know.
think so either.
All right. That's coming around next meeting.
And what is
And
21 Interlaken Road, it's on the corner of Interlaken and Mackinac. It's the one on the northwest corner that has the little pond in the front and they,
Oh, this is everything floats.
yeah.
yeah, they came to us and needing to
floats, everything
replace,
Everything floats, okay.
they needed to replace their septic system because it had failed. And we went out and looked at it at great length, and it turned out there was just absolutely no possibility that they could put a septic system in, a new septic system on this property. And, you know, that's a real problem when you have a house that septic system.
Trying to sell it too.
And they were trying to sell it, so, so they will at their own expense, connect to the town sewer. So they will have,
How far is that connection?
I'm sorry,
How far is the?
I don't remember. It was,
Down by the
pretty-
beach, isn't it?
Yeah, Beechwood.
it was fairly significant, but I think it will be, it's their only option. You know, it's sad.
It's gonna require digging up Mackinac Road to do.
On the side, but at least, yeah.
2,000 feet.
Is it that
Oh,
far?
Yeah, I don't know. It might be,
Easily.
it might be.
It's gonna
31
cost
miles.
almost 200,000.
Then we have a RDA for 8 Meadow Road coming up.
Yes, they want to put in an in-ground pool.
Hey,
That's all I know at this point.
Can't help you on that.
is that Gerber's property?
I have no idea. All right. Now, the town has approved, well, I don't know how that did exactly. Anyways, money was appropriated for us, for the Concom to have consulting help. There's a company out here now called Fleetwood Environmental Solutions, LLC, run by David Cameron, ex-DEP person,
Met him,
and Mark Stinson,
also ex-DEP.
DEP person.
He was our circuit rider for ever.
So, the meeting last Monday, whatever today is, yeah, Monday. We discussed some of the issues that we have, like when we have what we feel is more complicated and we scratch our head and say, well, maybe, maybe not. Or when we go to a site visit and we're outnumbered 6-1
Or there's a lawyer present.
by legal, okay? So when we have a situation like that, they're more than willing to advise us. They're gonna be a neutral party. They'll say, this is what it should be, not what you need to do. This is how it should be. This is what you need, this is what they have to apply to, and this is what you can respond with. And it could go from like where'd they go? Our request for certificates of compliance that we've got sitting here for ever and ever and ever, he'll look at those.
How do we clear that
How do
slate?
we clear it? If we waited too long already, do we just let it go or do we make an issue of it? And how we would go about doing that. Those are kind of one of the things we're gonna talk about. I had some paperwork for 4 Cove Lane, which we've already ruled on. I gave him all that and he looked at what he had and got back to us. I actually should give this to everybody to look at.
Question.
Could we make copies of this? Yeah.
Question. I mean, it's the old can that I've been beating on forever. And that is, somebody comes to us in January 2021. And we look at the plans, everything looks great. We approve the plan. And off they go. And the work doesn't begin until June 2022.
That's gonna be addressed.
Has the contractor signed off on what it is that we have approved? Evidently, the lawyer doesn't think that that's necessary because the language from the performance standards that I submitted has been struck twice.
Yeah, it was in there, John.
And I know it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is where we constantly get bit in the leg. in that, all of a sudden, one of us, usually me, but one of us goes to the site, looks at it and says, that's not what they put on the table. And we have a member of our Concom who can recuse himself from any statement here, whose witnessed this firsthand. I've witnessed it 5 or 6 or 7 times. And then we're not able to find them. We're not able to, get them to pay the piper, nothing. It just is like, what are we even sitting here for?
Fine. The question
But
is,
there's
do we
no
want to?
language to do so.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is, and
There is
take me a
language.
minute to find it, but there was something in here about.
And it's also in the town bylaw, and it's also in the Wetlands Protection Act.
We don't do it. How about
We
that?
don't.
I was going to ask a question. How many times have you actually successfully fined somebody?
Once, I think.
How many years?
Yeah, a long time. I mean, we have no backbone for this, frankly, is what it,
Why don't we?
because we're such a small town.
But that's, like Tom said, it's a
Just-
state law. It's a state.
just
law,
saying.
not a town law.
You asked me why. I'm telling you that's why I think.
Maybe we can look at that.
Yeah.
Going forward.
See, it occurred to me one time that we should have an enforcement subcommittee. I mean, really,
And plus, issuing a fine is a royal,
the real kind of hard cases on the committee.
issuing a fine is a royal,
I was gonna
One way,
nominate
Sally.
you, Jane.
because unlike,
Yeah, let's look.
unlike the planning board that has the building inspector to enforce their,
They do, yes, they do.
we have to go to the police.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've been loath to do that over the years.
Can't use a marshal and make them pay the marshal's fee also? Take the police out of the loop?
Know that we've ever looked at it that way. All I know is that if it's under, we can get DEP to review it.
At home, I have an enforcement manual that I picked up at a MAC event.
Yeah.
And I got it right before I left, the Concom last time. And so I've never read it.
Yeah.
It's about yay thick and it's all on enforcement, how you enforce.
And I
have
have,
it
in Barrington, we didn't do it often, but we would send out a ticket for every day they were in violation.
Right.
I mean, for some people, it ran up to thousands of dollars.
And you have
They
to
did
adopt that
have-
program, right?
They did have to pay.
When you say you have to adopt it, does it have to be something adopted by the commission or something that goes before town meeting?
I think it might have to go before town meeting, but I'm using a memory from a long time.
It has, I'm pretty sure. And it's also in
Our bylaw.
in our bylaw.
Do you know what the page?
But if I remember
So-
correctly, and Lisa could correct me, if you fine them under the standard system, the money goes to the DEP, goes to the state. But if you adopt this program, it's handled almost like a parking ticket through the local courts, and the money goes to the town.
Okay, any person, this is our bylaw, any person who violates any provision of this article or regulations, permits, or administrative orders issued thereunder shall be punished by a fine of not more than $100. That's not much.
So we can, in effect, fine them twice. We can fine them under the Wetlands Protection Act, and we can fine them under our town bylaw. This, I know that this went through, it was a long time ago.
Goes through the chief of police.
Joe, you may remember, we voted on it, and I remember thinking, yes, we can fine them $200 a day, and we were mad at.
Okay, good. So
We were mad at somebody, I forget why. And, but
Commission, the chief of police.
it's a big deal.
It says a maximum of $100, obviously per violation. It doesn't say anything about per day.
Well, that's per violation. The violation has occurred every single day from the date.
Each day or portion thereof
That-
during which a violation continues or unauthorized spill, blah, 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 remains in place shall constitute a separate offense.
So to bring this into
Per day.
perspective in a different way, many years ago, it was voted at town meeting that if you have a junk car sitting in your front yard, the chief of police could come and issue you a violation. And the fine, I think, was $10 a day until the cars are moved. And that has gotten enforced and faded away and enforced and faded away. Ricky was good about enforcing it. But, it's something that doesn't really get enforced. And there aren't a lot of junk cars.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There aren't a lot of junk cars around.
I go by 3 on the way here.
Do you really?
Yeah, well, down the Stockbridge Industrial Park. But I mean, it's like, and, Ursfeld, God help me for giving him credit, but he actually got the industrial park cleaned up as a result of that bylaw. And yet this is the same sort of thing. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it isn't there. Sometimes we enforce it, sometimes we don't. I think it just ought to be standard practice that we enforce it, period.
Can I ask, over the last time period, 4 or 5 years, how many of the people came in and turned in their paperwork and then just did completely something different and just didn't care versus said, well, that's what we meant? So I think that's a fair question. I mean,
And things got changed and they may or may not have realized they had to come back to us.
okay, so that's not quite as bad as, in my mind, it's just hoodwinking us. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how.
We've been hoodwinked a few times.
just asking. I mean,
We've been hoodwinked more than we'd like to
The
admit.
bitten in the butt, practices, a lot of what we are hoping to clarify in the way we do things is in this performance standards, which is giving us some sort of formal document that says, this is how we're going to proceed and this is what we're going to do. We've had a few really flagrant
I think it would behoove us.
offenders. And somehow or other, it always gets complicated. And I don't know. Now, it shouldn't be that complicated, but somehow or other, it always gets complicated. There's one in particular that I can think of where they had some procedural issue that they were going to come back to us with if we
But I think
enforced it.
time it's low hanging fruit and they clearly did something wrong. I think we need to go through the motions and to be the hammer and to send out the fines because, police giving speeding tickets, some of it's revenue, but more of it's to slow people down. And I think a few times we send fines out and that'll get around a little bit.
You have to make an example.
Like the police, there's also the idea of a warning. Now, I'd like to bring to the table something for consideration here. And that is there are properties in this town currently that haven't been developed. Large properties in this town that haven't been developed.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, those properties are going to come before us.
Right.
And one of them comes to mind, it's got a swamp in the backyard, which I happen to be very familiar with. And if we don't have something in place that is going to give us some teeth when it comes to dealing with issues like that piece of property, we might as well not even sit at this table.
Well, I think
That's what we're trying to.
But something that
No, I
big,
know, but I'm just making a point that needs to be emphasized.
something that big, $200 a day is
Peanuts to them. Nevertheless, it is an issue, and maybe there needs to be a timeline on it.
stop and desist concept, right?
Can I
And,
suggest?
and what happens with people who don't pay their property taxes? Does that just go on and on and on?
They lose their house.
On before the gauntlet falls?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
For 3 years, probably.
I don't know the answer
At
to that.
least, sometimes you look at some of these towns, Stockbridge is good on that. But some of these towns, property taxes have been paid for 10, 15 years on
Yeah, but I'd like to, some of the properties that haven't been paid around here are just sitting there fallow and should be put on the market, but that's not.
I see what you're saying, just empty property without house.
Lisa, what were
Missing
you going to say?
I was going to say, can we get back to telling us about Fleetwood?
All right, so the meeting the other day was,
I was just going to say, speaking of Fleetwood, since we're talking about enforcement and you're talking about using your consultants,
them do it.
talk to them about the best way to do enforcement and get money out of people when they ignore us. And since you're going to be bringing them some violators right at the start, you can say, look, we want to set up, some kind of enforcement mechanism. But, and the town, I went through the town penalties for various things. There's a section in the bylaw and it lists how much. And most of them are laughable. I mean, they haven't been updated in 30 years. So I figured maybe I'd talk to a selectman about that or something. But and seriously, we don't even have a fine for littering. And in a town like this, that, is basically, its bread and butter is being a nice town, right?
Well,
not having a fine for littering is
Follow a
ridiculous.
garbage truck around town on Mondays and Tuesdays, and there you go.
Or the bears.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Or my pet peeve, which is cigarette butts. They're not only unsightly, but they're also toxic.
Or nip.
Disgusting.
Ooh, nip bottles. Somebody's banned nip bottles.
Some towns.
Let's get back to Fleetwood.
I know, we're gonna bounce around. We got 10 minutes here. Folks. 10 minutes. That's fine. All right, moving on.
So I would like to see us ask them to look at 38 Lake Drive, because I think that's the current thorny project.
I agree.
And
We put it all together, we ship it down and ask.
what are your issues about that property? I mean, I was reading everything I had today
the
about.
fact that they're already at 11% coverage and they're planning to increase it up to 13%.
And they're like 30 feet from the lake and they're
Right.
covered, they're taking more buffer.
But speaking of the
Yeah, it's the
LPOD,
1510,
again,
right?
they allow 15% on the LPOD. That's one of the conflicts.
Right.
They say, lot use, it's in one of the last sections, lot use, you can do up to 15% of the area of the property.
But
So they would be okay under that. But they're not okay under the guidelines in section 5.5, which is, basically, what they call the intensity, the zoning.
And it's not
Unfortunately,
okay in terms of buffer, as far as I'm concerned.
right, well, I know the buffer is a problem. Now,
And that's,
I'm sorry, the map they gave us is very busy and
It's a very small lot.
yeah, but trying to find where I could see where I guess it was like 50 feet or something from the wetlands, but I couldn't really find all the boundaries for the.
The thing that I found the most problematic about that particular site was that there was to my mind anyway, there was a remedy for that, which is rather than to enclose the screen porch, to make a stone patio. That stone patio would take it out of the footprint and it would keep them at their 11%. And they were not willing to do that. And so they were not, at the time that they filed, they were not willing to make a concession to being allowed to do what they wanted to do.
Right. So why are they allowed 11?
They weren't. It was a non-conforming.
So they already were using.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. I thought they were using.
Some of this stuff
Already went
dates
over.
back to the 40s and 50s on some of these places.
Sure, non-conforming.
That's a weird little house. I wouldn't.
They're ripping it down, I think, right?
What's that?
So
They're
this
ripping it down and building a new one. Yeah.
project 38, Mackinac Shores, whatever.
Lake Drive.
Drive.
Send that
We'll
to,
put it all together, they'll look at it. And these guys when they were working for DEP, dealt with these things by the hundreds.
Oh, sure.
Hundreds
Well,
of
I met
Especially
them.
in finding,
Yeah.
they're the experts.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
and they're working for us now.
Yeah, I remember when we met them at, at least one of them, David Cameron.
Dave Cameron.
Lily Pond. remember
He
that?
asked about that too.
Did he?
Yep.
Now that land's still empty, isn't it?
they withdrew the project.
Yeah. See, I always thought the
Shook his
town,
head.
I really think the town should buy that property.
I do too.
It's one of the most important pieces of the watershed for Stockbridge Bowl.
Absolutely.
And, it shouldn't be built on, it's a beautiful piece of property. The,
Wheatley Drive.
often Wheatley.
so a question about this. We have a certain amount budgeted, correct?
We've contracted with them for a set amount of fee.
So how will we keep track throughout the
Oh, they'll
year
let us know.
just so we make sure that we,
Because when it's used up, they'll let us know.
no, but before it's used up.
They'll keep track of the billing.
Okay, just so we have a sense.
Cheryl will keep track of the building.
Yeah,
She's really good.
But if we, and I don't see it happening, but if we used it all, because they're charging a good fee for them, but it's a startup business, and right now they're looking for business.
Sure.
And they've got, in this area, the town of Stockbridge under contract for 1 year. So if we have any questions.
Better get to them.
Yep.
I would love, whoever, I don't know who mentioned it, but I would love to see if we decide we want to do any kind of enforcements to have them take that. I think that would get us off, that would get us off the hot seat.
We ask them how to do that.
Yeah.
How do we get this removed from our paperwork? And if it's legal to send them a fine? And how long can that fine be set for? You know, do we fine them from day one or do we say from now on, if you don't pay this, whatever?
I think it's from now on, but I don't think they can take it from us.
But you know,
They can't do
it's
it
also
for us.
been 3 years.
We can find out how to
There's
do
probably a
it.
statute of limitations.
Yeah, probably.
John, is there a process to get at these people? Do we go to Ron and Sally?
Well, this is what I was gonna ask this because I got hold of Ray Miera's once upon a time on an issue that just happened to be eating at me. And his secretary informed me in no certain terms that only the chairman was allowed to ask questions and so forth and so on. However, she did put me on the phone with Ray, who answered the question, which I thought was bizarre. But at any rate, that's something we need to be able to, I mean, you know, are there email addresses going to be, you know, something that they really want to see come from jhart29960@AOL.com? Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
It should probably go, I think it says the chair or his or her designee or something like that, which
So
would
Sally will be
probably be
sending the
me.
paperwork. As we get it in, we'll send them everything. They look at it and say, okay, you know, if we sign off on it, we don't send it to them. But if we have something on Park Street, where's that kind of lay, you know? So depending on what it is, we send them a copy of whatever we got. Site plans.
And would we still get DEP comments as a first step? Because I would still want DEP comments.
I would think, I would.
They're not official DEP.
No, they're not official, but I would still want the.
I would suggest that we
Because
do that.
I would want the applicant to get the DEP comments.
After we have a hearing. So we've gotten the comments from Heritage, we've gotten the comments from DEP, we've gotten presumably the response from the applicant, you know, answering the questions that DEP has asked. Then at that point, if we decide that we aren't really, we're still feeling a little squirrely about the whole thing, that would be when we
I think
would send it
that
to them.
sequence is a good sequence to get those first.
Because we don't want to frivolously.
Right, exactly.
Some things may be fine, yes.
Because we may get something that is really funky. I mean, we've had a few recently that were really funky that I would have really liked to have them as a backup.
Ahead of our decision points.
Exactly.
Right.
And you know what I would like to ask? Next time we have a major site visit, I'd like to ask who's going to be there.
What do you mean?
From who? From the other side?
Yeah.
If they're bringing a lawyer?
If you're bringing a lawyer, I want to know, because
Yeah.
one of these guys is going to show up too.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
And then when they give their opinion of how the law reads.
Right.
On how the statute reads, we'll have someone say, well, maybe, maybe not. You know?
We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I like that.
And if someone shows up, let's say they have 5, 6 people show up at a site visit, we can always say, you know, maybe we should continue this till next Thursday.
Representation.
And we'll have someone there at the same time.
I never saw lawyers.
No.
Never.
I had that whole discussion with these guys the other day about being outgunned when we go to a site visit.
Yeah,
Yeah, good. I like that.
yep. And we get outgunned when we're sitting here too.
Especially when Kate Hibbert and Meyer.
I do my best.
I mean, we do. We know that we've been bamboozled a few times.
You know, we could have them Zoom
Yeah,
with us.
Great.
It's still, you know,
Hourly.
we gotta set our standards, so we can't have him
Yeah,
come
we
here
wanna
from
do
7
some-
till 8:30, John about everything in the world. We have to have our little,
Finite time.
Oh, back when Shep Evans was sitting here, we were still sitting here at 11:30 at night.
Some of the stuff.
well, he's not here.
Thank God.
Talk about reach out.
Okay, so this is just a brief discussion of what we had, our description of what we discussed. There's other things like the site visits and what else were we talking about now? Lost it, whatever.
I know that Mark has always been really hot on the idea of making sure everybody has their certificate of compliance.
Yeah, he was talking about a spreadsheet that they would set up, they would do. They said, we'll do the computer work. All you gotta do is punch in
Great.
what's needed. And when it comes around in 3 years or 2 years, that it hasn't gotten a certificate of compliance, you can send them a notification or call them up and say, hey,
Great.
this is gonna get a lot more difficult, or maybe we fine them for not doing it. I don't
They're
know.
gonna do the programming for that,
Yeah,
and we just feed them the info.
yeah. Put it on our computer.
Because Mark said at one point that for a town this size, we have more filings, notices of intent than almost any town in the state.
Why is that?
Because every place is a swamp.
It's the most wetland.
I mean, we have so many wetlands. We have the lake, we have the river, we have Agawam, we have Campusa, we have all these different water bodies in this town. And we have a lot of people with a lot of money who want to do a lot of things that they may or should not do, perhaps.
The average town in Massachusetts is 6.5% of their land as wetland. And Stockbridge is the highest in Berkshire, and probably one of the highest in Massachusetts. We've got 12.4%. So almost twice as much, just short of twice as much of any other place in Berkshire.
Right.
You know, and Berkshire is a wet county, you know.
Is that open water or wetland?
That's wetland, yeah. That's wetland.
So this is gonna progress. We'll send them what we need offhand. They're gonna get back to us. There's gonna be a meeting. We can have them come talk to us here.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Everybody have some input.
Can they come and actually speak with us?
Yeah.
Do you want me to send them 38?
Yes,
Okay.
everything and anything you got.
Very good.
So we'll look at the performance standards. They have not.
Understood that.
All
Yeah,
right.
so if you can give me the digital form of your table of contents, I will incorporate that into this, and if people can get a chance to take a look at it, to see if there's anything that I forgot or missed, or, and so we can send them a pretty clear, we can send them a pretty clear and clean copy when the time comes.
Does that require a motion?
Could make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.